Hi, my name is Dr. Wendy Murawski. I am the Executive Director and Eisner Endowed Chair for the Center for Teaching and Learning at California State University Northridge. I'm also the CEO of 2Teach Global Educational Consulting. I'm here to talk today about empowering collaboration with technology, what every special education personnel should know. So let's start with why. Why are we collaborating? Well, the Spencer Foundation found that while collaboration may be scarce, research is strengthening the case that collaboration leads to better teaching. And I think most of us know that. In fact, schools that have lower teacher turnover are the ones that are more collaborative because we like it. We like being there with our colleagues. There is some evidence also that when we like our jobs, we're collaborating, it also helps our student achievement. We know that collaboration can advance our own practices. We get better when we're collaborating with others because we're learning from our colleagues. And that there are a lot of things collaboration can do for us as teachers to include moral support. But it's not always easy. It does require some vulnerability, some difficult conversations, sometimes even some conflict. It's good for kids too. Schools that are more collaborative have been shown to have stronger student academic outcomes than schools that are less collaborative. We also know that there are different approaches to fostering collaboration. This isn't a one-shot deal. It could be professional learning communities or co-teaching. There's just a ton of different ways we can collaborate, and they foster different degrees of effectiveness in improving student achievement. So that's not a one-way path, which makes it difficult. It's not an intervention that we can implement with fidelity. It looks different. We do know that strong social connections among teachers also help students. We're building social capital. We're showing them what it means to collaborate and to work together. And we can even use collaboration related to student test score data, how we're looking at that data, talking about it, making sense of it. We can then use for our data-informed school improvement efforts. So it's good to collaborate. And beyond just the research support, there's that importance of teamwork. We can use technology to help us with our communication and to streamline our collaborative processes, which we absolutely need in special ed. Way back in 1975, sociologist Dan Lordy wrote in the book School Teacher that we're in egg crates. We're all in our little rows, or nowadays we talk a lot about silos that we're in, and we need to get out of our egg crates. Technology can help us do that. So whether it's the students in their own little egg crates sitting in their own little seats, changing that up so we have more collaborative interaction between them, cooperative learning, where they can even collaborate with students in different countries using technology, or us as educators collaborating with one another and learning from one another through the use of collaboration and technology. There are different applications, clearly, depending on what we're trying to do with collaboration. We can collaborate with students. We can have students collaborate with one another. We can collaborate with families for IEP meetings, for student study meetings, to help us with behavior management. We can collaborate with colleagues. That might be those professional learning communities. It might be for co-teaching. It might be for critical friends groups. And in special education, we definitely need to use technology to help us save time. Always a big issue in special education. You might be someone who's thinking, technology is scary, but there's low tech and there's high tech. And honestly, even the high tech is starting to get easier for those of you who feel like you're a low tech person in a high tech world. So sometimes it really is plug and play, which many of us may need. So let's talk about the students. How does technology support collaboration with and between students? Well, Jamboard is something that a lot of us have used, where we're looking at those interactive bulletin boards. We can put stuff up. Oh, right. Jamboard's gone. Don't worry. Even if a technology exists that you like, there's going to be a whole lot more that come up that do the same thing. So if you like to have this digital online bulletin board where you can have a class and just post all the things they need, the syllabus for the class, materials, videos, notes for them, whatever, you can do that. If you want to post a question and have students answer anonymously. So no one is excluded. Everyone gets their voice heard. You can do that. There's so many different types of apps and programs that do that. Videos. Students love videos, especially our students who might really struggle with paper pencil type tasks. So, oh wait, Flipgrid also gone. Don't worry. Again, so many different applications come up. So even if you're thinking about, well, what would my students benefit from? How would they engage with this topic? There is something out there that will help them. So Google this stuff. And we can collaborate with our students. So that's ways that students can collaborate with us. They can collaborate with one another, but also let's say we're walking around and we really want to make this lesson engaging, but we have to see who's getting it, who's not, who might need some additional supports, remediation, specially designed instruction. We can use things like Peardeck, Nearpod, Microsoft Teams, OneNote. There's a lot out there that make our lessons more interactive in the moment and help us collect data so that we know what's happening and we can do some, breakdown to see what skills need supporting before we move on and for whom. You want to communicate with your students with low tech? You can call them, you can text them. Worried about them getting your personal phone number and bothering you on the weekends? Don't worry, there are also technologies to help kind of keep your own personal phone numbers private. So you could use Google Voice, or Remind is a great app. So think about that. We know that visual schedules are a thing that we could use for students who really need structure in the class, or all of our students. And you can create them. Sure, use a board, use markers, make something dynamic, but you can also use technology. And then it's very easy to make changes and just have it shown up on your board, and you can change it regularly. And then let's really think low tech. You can make a table tent. You get students in groups, say you're doing station teaching and you have groups and you know that students forget the directions you gave. Good. Write it on a little piece of paper. So don't think that all of our technology has to relate to a computer. Sometimes it's just things that will be a type of mnemonic or a type of strategy to help our students succeed. Let's move into families, technology that can support our collaboration with families. Again, all types of apps that will allow you to communicate on a regular basis back and forth. If you want to talk about behavior, you want to talk about academic achievement, you just want to remind that there's some big tests or quizzes coming up. You want to send links to resources, all of the apps that I put up here, and there's just a ton more. So I'm not recommending anything up here, just to show you there's some great stuff out there. Those are also good if you're doing a large class. Let's say you're working with inclusive education and you're in more general education classes, or you have large amounts of information you want to share with a bunch of teachers. Use those first apps. But we also work with our individual students, the students who are on our caseloads, and we may want to have a specific Google Doc that is for one student. We might have it linked with all of the teachers that have that student, as well as the caseload managers, a diagnostician, and occupational therapist, or speech language pathologist. We could all be on the same Google Doc. There might be reminders that are set up. So every Monday morning at 8 a.m., we all get a ding from 8 to 8:01 that says, don't forget to look at the Google Doc, because the parents may have written something over the weekend to let us know what to expect. We can give ongoing feedback about how the student is doing on specific goals and objectives, put in our progress monitoring, and we can also ask for strategies. We can use that as a dynamic way to communicate, to say, this is an issue that we're dealing with. Anybody have some ideas? And then everybody gets to participate. Let's take a look at a specialized spreadsheet that some districts that I'm working with have been using. And it's much more detailed than I'm about to show you, but the idea that there is a spreadsheet that they have created, and the parent has access to this, as well as all of the people on the IEP. And you see on the far left, it says goal approval. If it was not approved, let's say there was something, we come in as a draft to the IEP meeting and say, here's what I'm thinking we could have as a goal. And the parent or the rest of the IEP team says, no, we don't like it. It goes in red. Yellow is we're still kind of working on it. Green is, all right, we've approved this. So the goal relates here to occupational therapy. Specifically, the student has a lot of keyboarding skills, bilateral coordination. We've come up with some accommodations. We have information from the present level of performance on baseline. We've drafted a goal, the measurable goal. We know who the responsible parties might be, data collection plan. We talked about it, and we have an idea of who's going to be participating. But in looking at that measurable goal, in our conversations, we realize, and I'm on the far right now with collaborative notes, that if you have 3 out of 4 trials and 70% accuracy, it would mean that Brian has a 52.5%, which is failing. And so in that conversation, the team realizes that's not great. So let's change that and have our goal be 80% accuracy over 5 consecutive trials. So that becomes the goal that we are approving. But that took people kind of getting in there, talking about it, and realizing that's probably not where we want to be for Brian. So having a spreadsheet that has a lot of information, but in a quick way that we can all access is really helpful. You can also put, of course, the objectives that you're going to have as your measurable objectives, problem solving, progress monitoring, all that kind of stuff on the same thing. So let's talk about low tech now that we're talking about working with colleagues, because we certainly don't want it to be too onerous for us, right? Well, we can text, we can email, we can phone call. All of those things are regular and we do them all the time. But what about just timers for meetings so that I know I've got, hey, I'm going to talk to you, but I'm going to 6 other classes as well. Let's do all we have to do in 10 minutes. So we just set timers and we're all much more focused and a lot less chatty. We can set those reminders for ourselves to remember that I'm going to meet with my paraeducator every Wednesday for 20 minutes. I need to remember to check, for progress monitoring, collect data, but the reminders are helpful. Google Docs and Google Sheets, some of you may feel that those are too high tech for you, but at this point, that's like when PowerPoint became very low tech. This is just regular stuff. So getting used to using Google Docs and Sheets, finding a place where we can all throw in the information so that maybe we have a OneDrive, or your school has Schoolology or something like that, where we're dropping information. So all the strategies that I make related to supporting language arts could go in the same file, and my colleagues can do the same so we can all access this together. And Google. So Google online resources, find out what your issue is. What are you trying to solve? And then there will be something out there. There's so many online resources, so you do not have to recreate the wheel. On my own Padlet, which I put on there, padlet.com, Wendy_Murawski/to-teach LLC, I have a whole Padlet to support co-teaching. And you might find templates, articles, other resources that you would like. You could also go to my website, toteachglobal.com, and find other resources that might help you. I have planners, graphic organizers, templates, checklists, etc. But obviously, I am not alone. There are so many experts and supports and other teachers who have been where you are and have come up with things. So Google that stuff. All right, tech that supports collaboration, some more. Well, calendar sharing so that you can connect with the myriad teachers with whom you're collaborating. There's Slack, Zoom, Teams, other communication tools that people are using. Obviously, Google Classrooms. There are 2 different options there. If I'm co-teaching, I like to be a co-teacher on that, and yay, Google Classrooms has that option. So we both have equal access. But sometimes I'm just supporting, I'm doing in-class support with classes or monitoring. And so I may not want to be a co-teacher there. I may just want to be a student in the class so that I can access everything the students have and see what they see. Shared Google folders, we can do that for individual students or for classes. Certainly during our meetings, I can't focus and take notes just like my students. So having Otter.AI or Zoom or anything else take notes during that is fantastic. There's a relatively new application called Notebook LM that Google is playing with, and it's like a ChatGPT or a AI, but it can go even deeper and it can analyze things. And so when I am maybe collaborating in a general education classroom where I'm not as familiar with the content, it can help me summarize, gather data, and get a whole lot of information to learn more about that so I can help the class. Clearly, speech to text, I do a lot of collaborating while I'm in my car, and so I can't be texting my colleagues at the same time, but just using voice memos or using speech to text is helpful. And then, as you see here, having some captions already built into PowerPoint when I'm doing stations, or if I'm going to videotape myself like this, so that my colleagues can use this in a station when I'm not in that co-taught class, or if I have to be in another class, they still have my input there. So these are some colleague type things. And saving time. We all need to save time. There's so much. All of these things, do them all. You don't have time for that. All right. So AI really has become our best friend. It is something that clearly we have issues with, but instead of having to summarize things ourselves or putting it in a lower lexile level, or even finding out where to start, all of these things are very helpful with different types of AI. There are management tools for IEPs like Goalbook. There are online learning platforms, so many different ones. I can't even name them all. Automated data collection tools. People are using Class Dojo or a bunch of other ones to help us collect behavior, social emotional goal data. Project management platforms like Monday.com, or other schools have their own. Assistive technologies for students. If we can teach them how to use it well, then we don't have to always adapt the materials. We want them to learn how to do it for themselves. So that's a really great way to help encourage them to self-advocate. Online games. I have been known to use a Kahoot or a Quizzes, so students are reviewing content while I need to have 5 or 10 minutes with my co-teacher to connect and save some time that way. Certainly, as I mentioned, the automatic captioning, which we know we want all of our gen ed colleagues to do as well. Now, we're not typing things and having to listen and retype. Translation apps to work with our students who are English learners and have disabilities. So Duolingo, Google Translate, that's helping us give them access in their primary language. And then so many other supportive apps for students. If you have students who struggle with emotion, behavior, executive functioning, any of those things. So like the Calm app, Go Noodle, some of those things are really supportive for students. And online adapted materials for both enrichment and remediation. So as I'm working with my colleagues, my general ed colleagues, and we're figuring out what is class level, what is grade level content, I'm always able to find links or materials or recesses to take it up 1 or 2 levels, to take it down a level, to adapt it so it's just different at the same grade level and same rigor. And I don't have to do it all myself. I'm not creating all these worksheets or all these materials from scratch. I'm going online and seeing who's already done it and what technologies can do it for me. Whew. All right. So hopefully your key takeaways here are that it's not just about making lessons more engaging or adding a computer, but it really can help us collaborate with teams, families, and save us time. So we've got communication platforms, real-time feedback tools that can give us stuff right away to make those in-the-moment changes for our students, and some student-centered technology. And that definitely our busy special ed personnel can use some of these tools to help them with their time. So what can you do? My final thoughts on this: you can experiment, try it, find what works for you, and then integrate it into your daily routine. Not everybody's going to need all of these. What is your context? What is your need? Please keep trying. Just like teaching, there are so many strategies we try, and the first time we say, wow, that bombed, or I'm not comfortable with that, but then we have to keep trying. And so the more you use these things, the more comfortable you get with them. Share them. That's the whole collaboration thing. You find something that works for you, tell your friends, tell your colleagues, put it on Facebook. Let us know that there's something out there that really is helpful for special education. And then finally, do remember that CITL also has tons of resources that can help you learn about these tools and many more. So with that, thank you very much.